Alright everyone, this is hopefully going to be a quick update for Tuesday, April the 14th. I just want to cover some things that I'm noticing with people using the hub. I want to speak to an issue with the Lesson 6 exit card, and then I want to talk a little bit about lesson number 7. So, to start off, when we're using the hub, my hub page might look a little bit different than yours, but we're going to use this as our example. You're going to enter the lesson and you'll see our introduction that has our learning goals, our success criteria, our practice, and a reminder where you can get some video solutions. So you should look over your learning goals to see what it is that we're actually going to be studying today. Take a look at your success criteria as a way of gauging whether or not you know what you need to be doing. You should be reviewing the practice, as this is the work that you should be doing at home. And you can access some really good solutions based on that link there. Next, you'll get into the lesson portion where you'll see 1 or 2 videos, as we can see right here. Now, you're usually going to have to watch the first video in order to unlock the second video. So, when you enter, you might not see this video right here, and you definitely won't see this exit card down here. You need to go in and first complete that video. Then you will gain access to solving quadratic equations. When you complete that video, then you will get access to the exit card. I'm noticing a lot of people are going in and only watching the first video here. You've got to get through all of the content because these exit cards are a quick check to see where people are, and they also count for lesson completion. Alright, so if you're not completing exit cards, then that means that you haven't finished that lesson, and you likely will not get access to the next lesson until you go back and do that. Additionally, I want to draw your attention to the calendar feature. Again, your hub might look a little different than mine, but you still have access to this calendar. This is a feature that you should be coming on to the hub daily to check, as I will be continuously updating, and I'll be adding in direct links as well as a few other features. For example, we can see here that on Friday, April 17th, we would be spending the lesson time focusing on the Unit 3 review. That will become available to you on Friday. And also, you should notice that we have a due date set for 8 p.m. Alright, so I'm going to leave it to you to go in and actually access these features, take a look, see what's going on. But notice that for today, the 14th, we do have a blue dot on the calendar, which indicates that there is a lesson scheduled for that day. All the days that don't have blue dots are work period days or question period days, but you should still be coming in and checking the calendar daily because, like I said, I'm going to be updating it regularly. If you have any questions, shoot me an email, but make sure that you've gone onto the calendar and actually checked these things out first. Moving on, I wanted to discuss our exit card question from lesson number 6. I realized after the fact that I put the wrong question up, so I want to quickly go through that question with you, but I've closed the exit card Dropbox and I won't be going over those in any deep assessment detail. I'm going to put up a solution here for you to go on and check, but that's only for your own development of these ideas. So we start out with our equation as y equals negative 0.6x squared minus 7.4x minus 16, and we're going to be using the quadratic formula in order to find the solutions to this. In the original exit card, I asked you to get exact form solutions as well as decimal answers. That has been removed. We'll discuss exact form after we complete this question here. So once we've established the quadratic formula, we are going to sub our a, b, and c values into the equation, as we can see here, before we move on to simplify. And we can see that our first step would be to simplify underneath the root to get 16.4 0.36. Common errors in this stage that I'm seeing are people forgetting that when you square the b term, the entire thing is squared. So it's not like negative and then 7.4 gets squared, it's negative 7.4 that gets squared. Okay, so that's why I was seeing a few numbers that were not the correct answer underneath that root sign. From here, we're going to separate into our two solutions, one where we add the root and one where we subtract the root. So you're going to need to evaluate for 16.36 in both cases. And so once we evaluate, we're going to find out that our two roots will be found at negative 9.54 and at 2.80. Okay? Like I said, I originally asked you to also get exact form. Because of this decimal underneath the root sign here, that made life a little bit difficult, so it's completely been removed. And instead, we're now going to do an example together of working with exact form. So for our example of determining exact form, we're going to use the equation y equals 3x squared minus 6x plus 2. Paying notice to the fact that your textbook refers to exact form as simplest radical form. So you have to be prepared to run into both types of questions. I could ask you determine the exact form solution or determine the solution in simplest radical form. And so we're going to begin with our quadratic formula where x is equal to negative b plus or minus the root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. And we will take our a, b, and c values from our equation. In this case, we're looking at a being equal to 3, b being negative 6, and c being positive 2. And so when we sub in, we're going to get negative 6, which results in a positive 6 here. So we have 6 plus or minus the square root of negative 6 squared minus 4 times 3 times 2, and all of that is divided by 2 times 3. So we're going to simplify under the root, and we're going to do 2 times 3 in order to get our denominator, which is going to give us 6 plus or minus the root of 36 minus 24 all over 6. We will now do 36 minus 24 to simplify under the root, which is going to give us x is equal to 6 plus or minus the root of 12 over 6. Here's where we diverge from what we've been doing previously, and we consider our root. We look at it and try to determine if it's possible to remove a perfect square from that term by simplifying our radicals. In this case, that is possible because 12 is made up of 4 times 3. So we're going to get that x is equal to 6 plus or minus the root of 4 times the root of 3, all divided by 6, which allows us to then evaluate for the root of 4, and we will maintain the root of 3 in order to get an exact answer. As soon as we try to evaluate for the root of 3, we're starting to get decimals, which will no longer be an exact answer. So we're then going to have 6 plus or minus 2 times the root of 3 over 6. And before we can finish this question, we need to look for the presence of a greatest common factor in the constant term and the coefficient. And in this case, we do have that. We can common factor 2 from both terms. And so by common factoring out that 2, we now have 2 being distributed into 3 plus or minus the root of 3 all over 6. This allows us to cancel the 2, and with the 6 we would be left with a denominator of 3. So just cleaning that up, we see that x is going to be equal to 3 plus or minus the root of 3 over 3. And we're going to split that up into our two roots. So x would equal 3 plus the root of 3 all over 3. Or x would be equal to 3 minus the root of 3 all over 3. All right, so the big takeaway here is that when I ask you for exact form, I want to see something that is simplified, but that you are leaving all roots as they are, unless it's a perfect square. If you have a perfect square, you can evaluate because that will work out without any decimals. So that's everything for today's update. Once you've completed this video, an exit card will open up. You need to complete that exit card in order to unlock the rest of Unit 3. Alright, so make sure that you get that exit card completed today, and then you have lesson number 7 to look at today as well. I promise you that lesson 7 is not going to take a ton of time in terms of working through content, and you've got a few days to just work on what is assigned to you before you have to take a look at lesson number 8 on Thursday. Alright, so that's it for me. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. If not, then that's the last of the new stuff until Thursday. Have a good one, everybody.